Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another video? There's another paid request, this time for WSC Capital LLC. Thank you so very much. Now, if you're watching, if you don't want to give out your name, that's cool. I could just say WSC Capital, but if you're watching, can you let me know if you had another request? Because I believe you sent two, but there's no message on the other one, and there's no way to message you back. So if you could, however you want to message me, whether through PayPal or whatever, because I tried to message, it wouldn't let me, or some other way, it didn't let me know, feel free. Because again, I think you sent two, but I only got this one as in a message-wise for a review of Pathology. So if you're watching, please feel free to let me know. The one for this I did get, yes, I have seen Gutter Balls, to answer your question, and yes, it was god-awful, in my opinion. But again, the other one, there's no message on there. So again, if you want to let me know, please feel free. But anyway, thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or what have you. Now, Pathology from 2008 is the movie of today. This is a film I'd heard of, and maybe I saw it once before, but I don't remember. Now, it's directed by a guy, a German director, who really hasn't done anything since. The names that are more apparent are the writers, Neveldine and Taylor. Because Neveldine and Taylor, those writers directed Crank 2, Gamer. And this one has an interesting idea. And I thought the cast, for the most part, worked fine. I do have issues with the film. I think there's ways to make it better. But it was at least an interesting watch. It's a bunch of pathology students, and they're working at this hospital. Our lead guy, Milo Ventimiglia, who I remember he played Rocky's son in Rocky Balboa. He's our lead. He's come in. He was in Harvard and such. He was at the top of his class. He's very smart. He could look at bodies and see like how they died, and impresses his teacher, played by John Delancey, who was Q in Star Trek The Next Generation. So one thing leads to another, and he's just pulled into this game that these other students have, where at first he thinks it's like vigilante killings, where they take a scumbag, kill them in what they view the perfect murder, then they put the body down as up to the other people to look at and see and determine how that person was killed. You know, that challenge. I think that's an interesting idea. I do think they could have capitalized on that more. Because that game portion to me is the most interesting part of the film. And again, I don't think it's capitalized as much. Sorry, as much as it could have. Sorry about that. Damn, saliva went down the wrong tube. But it's definitely a film that is not for the squeamish. It's definitely filled with characters that are just very ugly personality type of characters. I mean, the very first scene is that some of these students are playing with dead bodies, moving their lips to make it seem like a conversation from When Harry Met Sally. They're referencing. The rest of the cast, I like the guy who's the main villain. I know he was on the TV show House MD for a bit as a detective. I thought he did a pretty decent job. Alyssa Milano from Who's the Boss, she's in it as our lead character's fiance. And literally one of the first sentences she says is, "Fuck me." Which is, I mean, she's a beautiful lady. And actually, for those who don't know, Alyssa Milano is the one who started the actual hashtag of Me Too. Like, hashtag Me Too. She's the one that actually started that hashtag way back when. So, like I said, Milo, I don't mind him as an actor. I think he did a decent enough job here. It's just I think the writing kind of hurt him a bit. Like I said, he goes to this pathology residence program. And like I said, worked with the teacher John Delancey, who talks about how pathology is kind of like being offered a window to God, and meets these other students. One of the issues with the film is that you don't really get to know much of the other students. Like the other people, you don't really get to know much about them. Like one kind of looks like Andrew Garfield, but he's not. One is Asian. Well, I have to be so vague because I can't really tell you much about them. I think, again, that's one of the issues with that. But I did like Michael Weston as Dr. Gallo. That becomes our main villain. In a way, he's kind of the Kiefer Sutherland to Milo's Jason Patric. Because I will say, there were elements that kind of remind me a little bit of Flatliners, with the people wanting to play God. It reminded me a little bit of the Lost Boys, where you had this villainous group as outsider looking on and a bit of temptation. But I do think those Flatliners and Lost Boys were better movies, because I do think they did a better job with the cast and the characters, which helped with the story. And in fact, there's another film that I kind of wish I took more notes in, and it's a film called The Star Chamber. And for those who don't know, that was a film with Michael Douglas, directed by, I think, Peter Hyams, if I'm not mistaken. That was about a younger judge, Michael Douglas, who gets pulled into this group of people who are also judges, who have this vigilante group where they go after the guilty, who got away from the law. So in a way, this is kind of like the Star Chamber, only with pathologists instead of judges. But again, the Star Chamber, I thought it did a much better job incorporating that more into the plot. Much more of a likable lead character. And they did a much better job making us understand why Michael Douglas would be interested in joining this in the first place. I think they did a much better job with that temptation aspect. Because I don't think they did. I think they could have done a better job making me believe why Milo. He's a character who's got a beautiful fiancée, who is the top of his class, who seems like he's got it all. Why he would take part in this whole situation with these individuals, taking part in helping with killings. It doesn't. I get that the movie at times is trying to make it be where Milo is. Maybe he's obsessed with challenges, and maybe he's not as clean cut as people think, but you don't really like the Milo character. At least I didn't. And it's not his fault. It's just the way that it's written. You don't really care about him, so then when things happen, it's not that you feel sorry for him. You just go, well, it's your own dumb fault, so you might as well slit your own throat too. And I think that's one of the issues, as well as the setup of the game is interesting. I wish there was more of that. But bear with me. There were moments at work, like the first 23 minutes were interesting. And the whole pathology subject is interesting, with some really good makeup effects. Like the way they make these dead bodies look, and opening it up, and using the thing that breaks the ribs open, and the chest cavities opened up. Solid, top-notch makeup effects. Done practical, for real. Definitely make you squeamish, and just the idea of how these pathology students have no respect Like they've gone so far that they have no respect for these bodies. It's just meat to them. It's just meat and a product. It's not a person anymore. That's kind of the point of who these characters are, or who they become. That's sort of the point that, like, there's a body that's just shaking because the nerves don't realize, like, the brain doesn't, like, the body forgot it was dead, so Milo takes the thing and stabs right in the back of the neck to sever the nerves. And you get these very gory autopsies with brains and such. Again, him being led by Michael Weston to the underground facilities under this hospital. Yeah, there's a part of your brain that wonders, could these people really get away with all these bodies and there's no one under these hospitals? Like, there's no one in this region? Like, people could just go in and out willy-nilly? Granted, I've never worked at a hospital. Thankfully, I haven't been to many hospitals. If you're out there and you have, are there a lot of hospitals where they have a complete underground that you could just go willy-nilly in and out and no one, no security, nothing is there, no cameras, no security cameras? I guess they could control it, but you don't see them ever doing that. At least that I remember. So, again, for those who have worked at a hospital, you can let me know. But the idea is to take random strangers that are scumbags, I should say, and commit the perfect murder, and the others has to guess how they did it. Now, I thought they were going to come up with a good reason as to why our lead gets to be a part of this, because there's a bit that Michael Weston says where, well, I know you're not going to tell on me, because this guy, I planted evidence that you were there. So if they honed in on that aspect, where if you try to tell anyone, if you try to say anything, there's evidence linking you to the murder, and all these friends here, they're going to join me in saying that you did it, or you this and that. In fact, maybe one of them would be a witness, and they were too scared. If that was it, and then the reason he's doing this is because, A, he's been assured, hey, these are guilty parties, these are guilty individuals. And they kind of try to go that route, but they're telling Milo, listen, these are all scumbags. Like I said, they do try to go that route a little bit. Just like there's one of the things they do show is Larry Drake from Dr. Giggles, Darkman. He's one of the soon-to-be victims. And this girl, who's the girlfriend of the Michael Weston's character, says, oh yeah, he's my dad, and you never forget your first fuck, and he likes little girls. So Miles been led to believe he's a P to the E to the D to the O. So that's why he's more willing to do this. But if you really hone into the fact of he's doing this because if he doesn't, they don't say he murdered someone when he did. They don't frame him. And he's afraid of losing his girlfriend, his job, his life, his livelihood, and being afraid of going to jail for something he didn't do. If they hold in more on that, and the more of Milo being in this position of he doesn't want to lose everything, he has everything to lose, he has a perfect life he doesn't want to lose, he's the top of his class, and then even more so, he'll consider the challenge because these are scumbags. If you more into that, I think it would have worked better as a story. It would have worked better for the lead character. And he could still get that temptation of trying to get more into the challenge of this, trying to solve this. And this other aspect, I wish there was more of them actually having a dead body. Like, other than one time or twice they do it in a little montage, it's not really done a whole lot of them, like, around looking at the body. And, like, this is stuff I would see on, like, CSI Miami that I do find interesting. It's one of the many reasons why I like CSI Miami. They look at something and you go very stylish on what could have been. And it could have been like each of these people. We learn about their personalities by, okay, go ahead, yes. And then each one gives their theories. And each time they give a theory, the movie can visualize that person being killed in that aspect and go, no, it's not that because this isn't it. And then visualize that aspect. Okay, what if it's this? And then you visualize this person getting killed in that fashion. So you have the same body and see him or her killed 5, 6, 7 ways, but no, that's not really how it was. Like, you could have done a lot more with that aspect. And instead, more of the film is about Milo and Michael Weston, this rivalry, and then Milo, when they kill Larry Drake, he immediately has sex with the girl who's Michael Weston's girlfriend. I didn't buy that. I understand they're trying to make Milo, his character, like a darker character as well as the other students, but I just didn't buy that this guy with his beautiful fiance, okay, he kills this guy with Larry Drake thinking he's this type of scumbag, but then immediately on the spot has sex with this girl. I didn't buy that. I'm like, what? That just seems out of the blue. I just don't buy it. And again, it makes me not like the Milo character. And then when he finds out that she lied, that it wasn't her dad, why wouldn't he immediately leave? Wouldn't it be like, wait a minute, you lied about that? What else have you lied about? Let me immediately leave the situation. And he doesn't. He stays there. And that's where you get this bit of montage until Alyssa Milano comes in to visit and he talks with her. I think a lot. There's a part of me that doesn't mind the film as a time waster because I thought the way it was shot was nicely done. I like the cinematography, the style of the film. The practical makeup effects, the gore, the cadavers were nicely done. Michael Weston as Dr. Gallo, the villain, I did like his performance. He had that cockiness to him, but he wasn't annoying. He had a bit of a, not likability, but a guy who was a legend in his own mind type of character, which fit what he was trying to portray. And Milo, again, what he's given, he's fine. I've seen much worse actors, and again, I don't mind him as an actor. Maybe some people will feel he's a bit too wooden. I could deal with him. Alyssa Milano wasn't annoying or anything. The other characters, like I said, they're so minute, like there's no development. Their acting wasn't the problem, but again, I can't tell you 3 things about any of them that doesn't involve the way they look. Spoiler alert, going to the end, spoilers. Like I said, I think there's a bit more that could. It seems more of Milo wanted to leave, not because of what was going on was wrong. It felt more like, oh, I've been sleeping with this guy's girlfriend. The guy realized that he's pissed at me and now he's going to try to kill me. So let me try to kill them first. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to leave. And they decide that they're probably going to try to kill him. So then when the group meets to look at another body, which is actually Michael Weston's girlfriend, who's dead now, Milo had this thing, so something sparks, there's an explosion. Nicely done explosion. At the end of the super spoilers, Michael Weston survives. Milo finds his fiancée dead. Then another thing that's just unbelievable, where John Delancey does a good job. It's nice to see him not just as Q from Star Trek Next Generation. He's good as a teacher and says, I'm sorry for your loss. Then Milo goes, I want to do the autopsy on her. I got the parents' permission. There's no way in fucking heaven and hell that you are going to be able to do an autopsy on your own fiancée. Because the cops are going to go, hey, you're a suspect. We're going to talk to you for weeks on end. And they'll probably still, in the background, consider you a suspect. You say it's this guy, but we don't know for sure. They're not then going to allow this guy to do an autopsy on his own girlfriend. He's going to be a fucking suspect. You're a suspect, even in the back of our heads. We don't allow you to do the autopsy that could doctor anything for all we know. Bullshit. So the fact he's allowed to do an autopsy of his own fiancée, of course they did it for the emotion. But again, I'm like, well, even that, I'm like, dude, it's your own fault. You cheated on your fiancé. To me, almost random. I didn't buy it. You got in this group with not really its intentions that for his obsession, but to me it wasn't as well written as it could have been. And that's the thing with Neveldine and Taylor. They're more apt for over-the-top action films. Crank 2, Gamer. Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, not as good. I love Gamer. I love Crank and Crank 2. Highly enjoy it. That's more their wheelhouse. This is not really their best wheelhouse, so to speak. So again, I like the idea. I like the concept. I like the way it's shot. The actors I didn't mind. It was a very breezy pace. It didn't feel long at all. It went quickly, so I wasn't bored with it. So for one of those that I had like a time waste or effort, but I felt they had a decent amount of problems at this last stuff that could have been improved on. And then the spoiler, the ending, for those who are curious, Milo gets knocked out. He's tied up by the bad guy. Bad guy goes, oh, I won. You never found out how I killed your fiancé. Milo laughs. So you sure about that? And then this guy who Milo knew, who always got picked on by this group, but Milo was nice to him, he comes up and knocks the guy out. And then Milo starts to talk about, no, this is how you killed her, because of this, this, and this. And you put, a drop under her ton, and then she couldn't move or anything. But for 6-7 minutes, she was able to listen to you or hear you or see you. And then Milo starts cutting him up. He's still awake for it, so it's definitely a good way for the villain to go. It's a nice way to end it. Bad guy gets what he deserves. But Milo should get what he deserves too. I guess his fiancée dying was that. But at the same time, you're not really that likable of a guy either, Milo. You're not really. To be honest, if I want to see this done better, the Star Chamber, Michael Douglas did it better. Just, it didn't have pathology, it dealt with judges. But the Star Chamber, that kind of basis, which again, as I'm thinking about, why does it remind me of something? Oh, that's what. Kind of like a bit of the Star Chamber, bit of Flatliners, bit of Lost Boys. Again, all films I like more than this. I think did this better, much more rewatchability. To me, this is a one-time watch. I would never see it again. It's not the worst scene ever. If you're at all into Neveldine and Taylor, if you see the trailer or if you look at the plot synopsis that interests you, you give it a watch. Has a decent rating on IMDb. Like I said, I don't think it's an awful film, but I did have issues with the script. Like I said, I wish there was more of them actually doing the game, multiple other bodies, and the mystery of how they died, and a lot more of that I wish was in the film. A lot more better work on the motivation of Milo joining the group. Oh, he's tempted to be a bad boy. Well, I think that could have been done a lot better than it was. Just my opinion. And again, some logic issues. Like, again, they would not let you do an autopsy on your own fiance when she was found dead and you found her dead. You'd be a suspect. They wouldn't let you do the damn autopsy. Like, so there are issues with the film, but overall, I've seen much, much worse films. It was, like I said, the concept and the actors, it was interesting enough for a watch. But again, I would never see it again. So thank you, WSC Capital. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.